My name is Jennifer John, and I'd like to welcome you to Creative Conversations for people who love to sing. I'll tell you a bit about myself first. I grew up in the East End of London to parents who had migrated from Trinidad. So I was first generation English. And that had a huge bearing on my life experiences. But music, which has always been a part of my life, was a massive saving grace, actually. And I believe gave me the ability to communicate and express myself freely in a way that inspired confidence and ambition. Music was always in my life. We had a piano in the living room, and I was very lucky that at the time I grew up in London, music education was free, which meant that music teachers came out to schools with various instruments, and we were allowed to have a go at playing them and decide which ones we liked. And if we liked one, then we could have free music lessons. It was wonderful. So I chose to play the violin, and I showed an aptitude for it. And it meant that then I was invited to go and join the Newham Academy of Music, which I went to for all of my school life. So I learnt to play the violin, I learnt to play the piano, and I started singing in choirs. During that time, my musical involvement was always very classical. So I learnt to read music, I learnt to play in an orchestra, and like I said, I learnt to sing in choirs, and I absolutely loved it. Would highly recommend it. If ever you get the opportunity to do that, I would suggest that you do it. It's never too late. As I got into my teens, I decided that I wanted to start writing songs, and I did. Luckily, I could accompany myself on the piano, but I found that I had a lot to sing about. I had a lot of teenage angst, probably, and a lot of that angst came out in my songwriting. I carried on songwriting and continue to do so to this day. But when I was 18 and I left school, I moved to Liverpool, which is where I now live, and fell in love with the city and have never left. It's an amazing place to be. It's extremely creative, and there's a really vibrant music scene here. In my life as a musician and a teacher, I've had the privilege of being able to teach thousands of people in various ways. Individually, in choirs. I'm also a music mentor, which means that I have the responsibility of encouraging people to really look at who they are as an artist and find interesting ways for them to achieve what they want to achieve. In addition, I manage a choir myself in Liverpool called Sense of Sound. Sense of Sound Singers is our full title, actually. But the reason I wanted to start these conversations is because I've always felt that music is an amazing tool for people to gain empowerment, confidence, social skills, articulation, and generally feel better about themselves and other people. And I think there's a real power in that we should maybe look at and explore. What is it about music and singing in particular that we love as human beings? We don't have to like the same thing, but most people I've met in my lifetime love music in some way, shape or form. And I love music, and what I love about it is when I observe it from a global point of view. Folk music, for example, exists in most places, and I think that's because people like to express themselves as a people, as a community, through the power of words within songs, which is what the folk tradition essentially is. Music has a way to inspire and to encourage people to listen in a way that maybe just language on its own doesn't necessarily. I guess if you think about language on its own, and you think about politics, for example, politics are about you being on one side or the other. Religions, similarly, is about your preference as opposed to somebody else's point of view. And for me, what I love about music and singing is that it's accessible to all people, regardless of what their beliefs are, regardless of the language that they speak. It has a resonance and a feeling that it evokes in people that somehow brings people together. And I love the idea of that, especially now. I know that at the moment a lot of people are fearful, a lot of people are in isolation. And when you think of the word isolation, straight away it feels like a scary word. And I'm in isolation, but I like being in isolation because again, I get to listen to music, I get to create music, I get to think about music, and now I get to talk to you about it. And so I wanted to create these conversations because I wanted us to be able to communicate with each other and talk about what we like about music, what we like about singing in particular, and also to say to you and myself that we are a community of people who, when we communicate and cooperate together, we have a better understanding and a strength and a feeling of comfort and confidence and surety that to be a social creature is a wonderful and powerful thing. So it's to start the conversation about 3 questions really. I don't want to talk for too long, but I have 3 questions in my mind that I'd like you to think about until we next have this conversation. And the first is, why music? What is it about music that you love? What does it do? What does it do for you? What's its power? What's its impact? And the second question is, why singing? That's really my specialism, and that's really where my passion lies. So that's really where I'd like this series to focus. The second question is, why singing? And the third question is, what does singing mean to you? And that can be anything that you wish it to be. The answer can be as long or as short as you like, but it would be great to hear who you are and why music, why singing, and what singing means to you. Please leave all your comments in the comment boxes below, and I can't wait to read them, and I can't wait to base my next conversation with you on your answers, and so that we can grow this gradually together, develop this dialogue, and hopefully turn it into wonderfully creative collaborations, either online or in the real world. Okay, I look forward to speaking to you again soon. Take care, be safe, have a wonderful day.